What up, traders? What up, investors? Ken here from the Dyslexic Investor, and thank you for joining tonight on another fantastic live stream, talking about stocks, talking about charts, having a great time, and just gauging on some particular trading ideas, looking at some charts, gauging on some baselines, on some fib retracements, to some potential support and resistance on some stocks. Again, we have a lot of companies coming out with earnings today, or sorry, this week. We have everything from the major one like Netflix, then we have majority of the banks. We got Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Bank of America, Citi, Morgan Stanley. We got Fast reporting. We have Delta reporting, Wells Fargo, a lot of these huge businesses that are going to be really kicking off the first week of earnings. And hope everyone's doing well out there. Thank you everyone for joining once again. Can I get a thumbs up or a smiley face in the chat window or something to let me know that my sound quality is doing okay and then everyone can hear me okay? I did multiple sound checks before going live and everything looked okay, but again, you never know once you hit that red button on what could happen. Ryan, Bob, Flyer, Alan, Tom, Kelly D, AA Ron, what's up guys? Thank you so much for coming. Brian, thank you guys, I really do appreciate it, and gals. Hey from Central Florida. Central Florida, is that considered like Mickey's house? Is Orlando considered Central Florida? Or is that more like Gainesville? Loud and clear. Thank you, my friend. Thumbs up, smiley face, love it. Great. Awesome, fantastic sauce. Thank you for the feedback, gents. Banks dropping this week. Flying Gamer. We'll see what happens with banks. I don't know if you watched my previous video. I actually sold some puts in the XLF ETF that covers the bank sector within the S&P 500, and I think it just can trade sideways and potentially even go up, honestly. David, what's up, my friend? Newbie, how you doing? Thank you so much for everyone for joining tonight. Let's go ahead and start jumping into things. I'm going to pull up my charts and get this out of the way. Let's go here. They should be able to see my screen now. Fantastic sauce. All right. So just do a quick market overview, and then we'll jump into some particular tickers. We can kind of go through and overall see how it's going. Okay, let's just go from here. As we talked about, we've seen these multiple white rectangular boxes for some time. We're looking at kind of a potential breakout. So this doesn't mean if we break out of the white box that we're going to go to all-time highs, or if we break down to the bottom, we're going to fall all the way to down to the previous lows that we saw way back when, meaning 3 months ago, at that bear market we had that lasted 2 months. So with this potential trying to break out, and again, the S&P 500, this is the futures, this /ES within Thinkorswim we're using here. We start breaking out between the 32, 35 level, we could potentially see a potential kick higher in breaking out of this trend. And this trend is this trading trend we've seen, again, this white box kind of just pivoting around this area. Looking for a potential to pivot out here if you're going to be a long, or if you're going to be a bull on that side. And if you're being more bearish, you really want to see this kind of start collapsing in the 5 and 8, start crossing through the 21, ticks getting below the 34 and things like that. One thing I do want to throw out to everyone, I did do a slight change to my charts. I added a white line. It's actually the 55 exponential moving average. I kind of wanted to use that between that and then the 50 simple moving average to kind of gauge on how they interact with each other for a little bit. So you might see that on a couple of my charts. So don't freak out. Don't call the police. It's just a 55 exponential moving average. So that being said, the overall market, again, we're looking for this kind of trend to continue. Again, anything can happen. We can see crazy things happen in the market all the time. You just got to be ready for it. You can't get emotional about it. You just got to know where the lines kind of crisscross, where the lines kind of line up, where the lines don't line up, and know what you're investing in and know what your positions are. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So one of the first early birds that came in was Jacob. Jacob, are you still in here? You wanted to look at Disney, and we can look at Disney real quick. Again, Disneyland has just recently opened back, or Disney World, sorry, has just opened up with the various different precautions what they're using currently. So we're looking here between a Fibonacci retracements from the swing high to low, looking for some consolidation. It is trying to ratchet up and go for a potential breakout to break above the 120 level. We've kind of broke above that 120 level before, but kind of failed here, petering out at the 124. Just let's call it 125 to be politically correct. So if we can get some momentum going, which the RSI and volume oscillator are signaling that we could see a breakout of the 121 to potentially the 125. If that fails, we can kind of just hover around this 50 percentile move from the previous high to low, which is around that 115, to kind of see on how that's trading. That being said, potential downside support is going to be coming around 109 to 107 to the downside, so be mindful of that, Jacob. Hopefully you're still on to see that because you posted that fairly early in the chat. What up, David? Ryan, Nicola puts. They're looking spicy. They're looking sexy for some puts. Puts on Joe Biden. That's funny. Workhorse. Let's see if I don't make sure I didn't miss anyone on here. Okay, let's go. Okay, so we can go look at Workhorse. So this, of course, that one has been literally splattered on every single form anywhere on you can look online or people are investing in. Is just like, oh, this is gonna be the new whatever. I don't know what they're saying it or what they're doing, but we'll see what happens. So with this one, again, had a huge parabolic move here, really guiding up here between the 5 and 8 exponential moving average, kind of petering off slightly here, breaking below the 8, which it's kind of not a sign of failing, but just like, hey, this trend, this overall momentum that we're seeing might be getting cut short slightly. So be mindful that we could be coming back down to the 21 if this is the first line of support on the way down to around $12. Again, this is a very fast momentum stock. We literally went from, what was it, like $3 to like $22 in like a month and a half. So that's very hard to really give that a continued run up. It has to kind of slow down, regain, and then potentially push higher or lower. But as of right now, if we want to be to the long side, it needs to start getting above the 8 and close above the 8, and the 5 and 8 need to start curling back up or just trading sideways. If you're going to be on the bearish side, those 5 and 8s are going to start curling down, and potentially the ticks or the sticks are going to get down to the 21, which is around $12. So be mindful of that. Be careful out there, especially with high momentum stocks like that. Let's see. Puts on Wayfair with the scandal. Yeah, I haven't found like a full-fledged of like WTF, what's going on here kind of scenario. Just kind of getting hits and miss. This will be one interesting to watch. I know a lot of people who kind of just like said F it and they just wanted to short this ever since their last quarter. And of course kind of came down a little bit again. It really came close to the 21. If you're really trading it, you're going to come down to the 21-ish. If you're really going to short-term day trade it, it's going to be the 5 and 8. Trading it's going to be more down to the 21. Investing it's going to be around the 50 or the 34 here. Make sure this is the 34. Moving exponential. Make sure I have these. Moving exponential. Why does this seem weird, this moving exponential here? That's a simple moving average. Why is that simple now? That makes no sense. Why did this turn to simple? Okay, I gotta change this. Sorry, guys. Okay. Oopsies. The heck? Did I load the wrong chart setup today? I'm sorry, guys. Hold on. Let's go. Oops. I thought that looked weird when I looked at that. I was like, that looks really weird. I don't like that. Make it orange. Boom. Apply. There we go. That looks better. We're going to get rid of that one. Oops. Oh, fat fingers. Remove study. Yes. Then we're going to edit this one. I like lines. Style. Dots. There we go. Boom. Okay, that was weird. Sorry about that. Alright, so with Wayfair, again, like we talked about, everyone wanted to go short it when it had a huge gap up like this. Usually when people want to do that, or that herd mentality of just going straight short, can come into some issues. With the 5 and 8, again, being the high momentum driven side, really came down, really did break the 21 here, kind of just bounced off it a little bit, and then just continued trading higher, and we've seen that continue going on. On what happens tomorrow, I have no idea. Again, we'll just see what the stock price does. But again, initial line of support is going to be around 219. If that starts breaking, the 21 is going to come in at the 207, and then basically down to 195. Those are your basically levels there to the downside on Wayfair. Do you think DAL is Delta, right? We'll go back down to March lows. I don't know. Like it could, because again, you're seeing a lot of negativity in the overall airline space, and with traveling and the overall pandemic and virus just really just kicking everyone in the butt, business sense wise, and a lot of people are not really doing a lot of business travel. The company that I work for, they're like, we're just gonna do GoToMeeting and Zoom meetings for now on, really. If we really need to meet face to face with someone, like we'll maybe fly out one of the sales folks, but yeah. With Delta, can it get down to this level? It could, without a doubt. So it's coming out with earnings on the 14th. So it's okay. The trade tab, we can look on here. The options for the 17th, they're saying plus or minus $3. So as we're trading it as of Friday, so saying $3 lower, so we're looking around 24 potentially. Again, if it's really bad, we can see it go a lot lower again. That options market is just taxed to what the market makers are suspecting or projecting or rolling the dice on, what they could see. But those moves can be blown out either whatever way direction. But we can let's do this. So we can do this Fibonacci extension. So the swing high to swing low, and it clicks. Come on, click there. Click, and then low. So initially it broke past this one. So initially the next line of resistance on the way down, if it comes really crashing down very steeply, it's going to be the 38.2 percentile move, which is around $19.70 there. To the upside, we kind of really need a breakthrough. These parabolic SARs kind of been pushing it down. We kind of see it trading in around the 50-day here. Nothing to really write home about. With this kind of really pushing it down, we need to start seeing a break above 28.29 to see this momentum kick higher. Because the volume oscillator and RSI has just kind of been blah and not really do anything to write home about. Leading edge, Australia, open learning equals AUX stock OLL. Open Learning has just signed a big deal with microcredits with universities. Oh, they just signed it this weekend, or they signed it? Oh shoot! Why is this not typed? Isn't this is an Australian stock? See, because OOL. Oh, AS. Okay. Okay, this looks interesting. It's a $4 stock. Not really setting up for a squeeze, but it looks really interesting on the fib side here. Kind of broken above that 618, which is a really nice move, and we want to see this potentially kick higher. Kind of trading heavily within the 5 and 8 exponential moving average. This is a pretty good stock. Like if you want to keep it on a short leash, if we can try to see a run up to above 515, but if it starts breaking below 475, if you're trading it, I would like to get out of it. Yeah, this looks interesting. Be careful though. Kelly D, thanks for joining. Let's see here. Overstock. Yeah, Overstock, it's been a crazy runner, right? Like, this thing has just completely just taken off as well. Let's see here. Really kind of smashing through these fibs on the way up. Nothing really in sight until like 73, which just seems really far off. It looks like it has earnings as well coming out on the end of the month. It really, if you're in it, I hope you're doing well and you're still holding it. But it's really just trading between the 5 and 8 exponential moving average. You can kind of see that really line up with the parabolic SARs, which is the little purple dots, are really in line with the 8 EMA. So if you start seeing some breaks in the 8 EMA and closing below it, we could see some potential trading sideways or going lower down to the 21 for the next level of support. Again, hitting an all-time high just last week is very difficult to see where it could go. If it looks like it kind of looks like overbought on the RSI, which could be deceiving and a lying. But let's do here on a weekly side. So we're going to do the previous swing high, which was way up in 2018 due to the overall crypto markets they got involved with, and we've just broken above the 50% retracement of that. So if you're holding it more long term, you want to see it above 46.17 and potentially a test of 56.46 there. And you got some W puts also. Well, good luck. I think that again, we'll see how the story lands and things like that. I can't see. I just don't know enough. Alan S, would love to know your thoughts on Dominoes earnings. Our Thursday was thinking of picking up a few shares just to flip after earnings, or maybe some options. Yeah, options are going to be more difficult to flip for me, Alan, honestly, because again, the implied volatility is just going to be a crush. So if you want to play it to the bull or bear side, you're going to have to, for my style, is selling calls or selling puts. That's the only kind of thing I would do in earnings, and that has to be really far out. But with Dominoes, that thing is just, it's been a really big benefactor for what we're currently been going through. And we've traded this in the past when last earnings kind of came down really sharp to the 21. Luckily, we sold the puts around the 21, and it kind of rebounded slowly. Again, anything can happen here. We do have a super long squeeze here, indicating here just this chop that we've seen here with all the exponential moving averages we're seeing kind of twound up into each other here, kind of just having a car accident or a hug fest here with all these moving averages here. It looks like it really wants to break out because we saw a huge day up on the close of last week. It's looking super strong. Has it already pre-moved already, kind of before earnings? This is always the kind of thing that's hard for me to gauge, and especially with earnings. With my experience, I've seen in my sometimes bad luck of just flipping of the coin of earnings, because it could just blow out on revenue and new sales growth, blah, 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 but it's just the CEO can say one thing wrong and the stock just comes plumbing down back to earth. I would have to keep it on a pretty short leash. Let's see what the expected move is basically $35. $35 where we're currently at would be around what would that be? 365-ish. So that's going to be way past the 21. So it's going to be looking basically where the 55, or actually where the exponential or the parabolic SAR is currently standing. So that is a pretty steep decline. Again, that's what the market makers are saying for the ups, for the downside, and then it's 35 plus. So it's looking, just call it like 430-ish up here. So we could see, again, that's going to be what the close of the market is. I think this is definitely going to move either way. If I was a betting man, which I am, I would have to sell some of these puts potentially down here. That's what I would do. Again, I play things a little bit more on the safe side, Alan. Mr. Bear, thanks for joining. I love your discussions on Discord. What are we looking at this week, David? David, I want to look at a lot of banks and Netflix. I'm not buying any cryptos right now, but Bitcoin looks interesting though. thoughts on FLDM? I don't love it. Looks like previously it just hasn't done very well, and it's well below its 200-day previously, and now I don't know what they do here, but it kind of gapped up, had some troubles around the 200-day exponential moving average. Now kind of breaking out with the help of the squeeze, kind of pushing it higher. RSI and volume look fairly strong on this. If you want this trend to kind of continue, you're going to see the 5 and 8 continue starting to grind higher. I like how these moving averages are starting to cross through the 21, which is a good sign as well. But this one, again, I don't know exactly what they do, but on the trading side, if it starts coming back down to the 200-day, you could see some support there, kind of lining up with the 21 and 34 if you're not in it. As of right now, it looks like it just wants to trade between the 5 and 8 exponential moving average. Wesley, thanks for joining, my friend. Thank you. What's your thoughts on these new high growth ETF long term H? I don't know much about those. Are those like the what are they called? The 3x things? Okay. Honestly, Wesley, I haven't looked into this, but I can. This is interesting. Again, are these one of these the gross stuff that I've read about where they literally shuffle what's in the ETF like on a daily basis, sometimes an hourly basis? I would just be concerned about that, because the thing like what a lot of people like to do with like the XLF, all these little things. I thought like the XLB, XLC, XLE. Everyone knows what percentage the market, the ETF is in. These ones that are kind of with algorithm trading and just the AI learning and machine learning, they can reshuffle these within seconds and just continue changing. You really don't know what you're owning. You're just kind of hoping that the algorithm that you're buying is working. I've got some calls on Boomer Daddy Dow Jones. Nice. You get it, Ryan. I'm not David. Can you do Amazon? Yes. So, what can I say about Amazon? It is a monster. It is out to crush everything. It is out to eliminate its competition and just take its school lunch. It actually doesn't even take its school lunch. It literally wants to buy the deed on people's houses and just crush them, and then make him a bologna sandwich. I don't think he eats bologna because he looks pretty ripped, so make him like a nice salad or something. Anywho, back to Amazon. This thing has just been off to the races here. Been holding that 21 very well on the way up with this new trend. Is having a pretty large run into earnings, which I'm slightly always skeptical about, honestly, and just a little hesitant of like, that last run up to earnings was great, and then kind of petered off like a week before, and then they came out again having great numbers, but then people got upset because they spent $1 billion or whatever on making sure their staff was safe. And of course, that was your excellent buying opportunity. Hit that 21, and then it just continued grinding higher. Right now, I won't be able to purchase it because it's just too high up here, and earnings is just around the corner, so just be very mindful of that. Potentially, again, it's pretty far extended from the 21 as well on the trading spectrum. If that can start coming down, I'm not sure it's going to come down $300. I think it definitely can. It looks like earnings is not 100% confirmed on the 23rd, the 24th. So it's plus or minus $260 of a move. Again, anything can happen, and Amazon is definitely known to break those barriers, so be mindful of that. And David, I'm not David, and we do Netflix as well. Did we do Netflix already? I think we did. Maybe I just did that in my head. So I don't know what happened with Netflix on if what this whole movement was here, it's pretty astonishing, honestly. Just the last week of literally going from like 450 up to 550, so $100 in less than a week. It's a little cray to me. Again, having probably huge earnings expectation. Did they capitalize more on people staying at home with the more people getting Netflix? I don't know. Like, I'm trying to think of a show right now that people are really just tuning into Netflix for, and nothing really comes to my brain right now. They always have a constant stream of documentaries that I check out and other things, but I'm not really their main market type. Like, I literally just watch documentaries. And then I watch a couple of their smaller shows. Like, who watches, let's be honest, if you love it, the British Baking Show. Love it. Anywho, with Netflix, it's again just like Amazon. It's hitting all-time high just the past week. The 5 and 8 have just been moving. The momentum just continues higher. With earnings, is a complete coin flip for me. RSI and volume oscillator at max levels. If we switch to a weekly side, the potentially hitting the top RSI band has happened multiple times before. We kind of see it stall out here. So it hit here, slightly stalled out, came down, hit here, kind of hit and stalled out. Not saying this is going to happen. These are different circumstances, but we'll see on what happens with earnings. This is what the biggest tech stock that's having earnings this week. You have IBM, but that's what does IBM do now? You know, but hey, I don't want to diss anyone, but yeah. Cam, anyone trying to pump in here? There isn't stock tweets, so no one's pumping in here. We don't have enough thing yet. We did Amazon. You're welcome, my friend. Could you take a look at space? It has bounced up on Friday, and there are news on new test flights. Yeah, so I own space, to be full disclosed. We own some longer-term options in this. It's been doing great for us because we bought in around that 200-day exponential moving average, kind of hoping for it to kind of hold this pattern, which it has, and now kind of ripping higher. What we talked about previously on last week's stock chat was the top here potentially. Getting above that $21 level is pretty key on trying to break out and continue going higher. We do have a squeeze that fired. It's only 2 days in, which is great. But the volume oscillator is not looking too shabby, and RSI is kind of looking like it wants to peak. I really want to see this above 21 to 22 potentially. To the downside again, the first line is really going to come in around the 21, which is around 16, and then back down to the $15 level where it is the 200-day. He's got it. What's up, man? Let's just do, what's LTHM? LTHM. Yeah, this one just kind of looks like it just wants to trade sideways. It looks like its earnings are coming out. It really needs to break above that 21 there to kind of potentially go higher. But to the downside, it's somewhat limited because we're talking about a previous low of like $5 to $4. But it looks like a lot of overhead resistance at the 21 and then really at the 200 there. Brian, let's do McDonald's. MCD, right? Did I call it? Yes. That's McDonald's. So McDonald's is looking super interesting. They have earnings this week as well, right? No, the 28th. I lied. I'm an idiot. So this one is really just been consolidating. Again, trying to gauge on how their sales are going to happen with this overall, really having a full quarter of being inside of the pandemic and the virus. And we're going to see on how they are going to be matching up and how the quarter is going to be previous to other quarters and how I doubt they're going to give guidance going forth. But with the stock chart, it's kind of been trading sideways here, like we said. Potentially can get down to the 175, but first line of resistance on the way down has been around 180. It's trading below 21 and really below the 200-day, which is not the world's most bullish sign. But we start seeing the 5 and 8 cross through the 21, and things kind of start having the squeeze kick higher with the volume oscillator breaking above the 20 percentile move and RSI curling up. We could see a potential movement above that 190 level and kind of continue breakout. Any thoughts on the direction of Tesla? To the moon? No, just joking. Which way is the moon? That way. So with Tesla, I kind of did I think I did a post on this. Did I? I don't remember. I do too many dumb things. My brain doesn't work half the time anyways. So Tesla, so I know I did a post on this now, because I never said, I think I've never seen a Fibonacci retracement from a previous swing high to low where it's testing the 685.4 percentile move. So this was quite astonishing to me, that it was getting up to these prices and it was testing these pretty astronomical Fibonacci numbers, where if you want this trend to continue, it needs to continue and go faster and higher around the 1556. Again, to the downside, support is going to be coming in around 1320. That's only the 8 EMA. Okay, overall support on the swing trading is going to be around 1152, and then all the way down to like investing, you're going to be waiting for like the 960 level. So that is pretty astonishing. Yes, the next line that we kind of made, I think I did this way back when. I think I did 1960 was my call for Tesla for the whole year, and I think we could maybe reach that just with this next quarter coming out. I think we're definitely going to have a special live stream on the 22nd, which day is that? On Wednesday, without a doubt, to highlight this fantastic company and do a nice live stream with that. Maybe have a treat, maybe get a cake, get a Tesla cake or something. Yeah, we'll figure something out. Sean, Wayfair calls in play. Yeah, I just don't know. You never know with these articles and these news outlets. Ryan by the Dip Boys. QQQ. Yeah, we did Amazon. I don't know if my mic cut out when I was talking about that. Maybe I'm just behind on the chat. And look at that. My chat window just updated, so it must be my issue here. I'm sorry. So let's do Amazon once more. I don't know if it didn't work. So let's do it at Amazon. So Amazon again, we see the 5 and 8 exponential moving average. It just continued grinding higher. So if you literally want to do the same thing we just did with Tesla, which is the previous swing high to low, it's really just crushing through all these numbers. And there's nothing really much I could say. It's really just holding that 5 and 8 exponential moving average and then continue grinding higher. Again, hitting an all-time high of just on Friday. It could be it could be very dangerous. I think that we could see a potential run into earnings. But we saw a run into earnings previously, and it kind of came back down to 21. So anything can happen. Just be mindful of that, and just be very careful with this one, because this is going to be heavy momentum driven without a doubt. Let's see. Yes, let's do Weight Watchers. Nvidia, yes. Nvidia that closed at. I thought it closed at 420.69, so I think that was a Wall Street Bets post that got sent my way. So this one has just been astonishing as well. Really just breaking out here. Wow. So this has no earnings on the horizon, honestly. So this has just been riding up just on the strict momentum and just people buying in. I don't even think this is a short squeeze anymore. This is just people just buying into this. This is, again, really just driving that 5 and 8 exponential moving average, hitting an all-time high of just on Friday. Potentially, again, RSI's really kind of printing high. When I look this more on a weekly side, we could be tacking the top band of the RSI here on the weekly side. That's usually a significant sign where a potential slowdown and kind of more of a calming pattern, and then potentially get that speed back up and then kick higher. we did the Disney. We need Disney above 120, and then potentially above 125 there. Facebook. Yeah, this is a. I hope you guys caught my video that I did on buying the dip here around the 50-day here on the daily side. We're a little early here. We felt a little bit more downside the following day, but it really made a nice retreat, making a nice V shape, and now with the 5 and 8 crossing back to the 21 and just really printing higher. Potentially overhead trying to break above that 247 there. We're seeing some tight consolidation there. Potentially earnings is, I don't know, end of the month. We could be seeing that just, I don't see this trading sideways. I want to really see this break above the 247 level to continue to print higher. If this fails or some other boycotts or bad news comes out, that first line is going to be the 21 and then coming back down to around the 50, which is, this is the simple moving average 50, and this is actually the 55 exponential moving average there. So could be seeing some support to the downside again if things go worse. Yeah, Vic, I'm holding space for long term. AMD. So AMD had a nice move this week, but then kind of gave it back. I don't know if there's literally someone on the other end of my trades or my investments in AMD is just slapping it down, just like I'm trying to go for that nice easy layup. I'm like, oh, the chart looks great. Let me just try to get this layup. Bam, just smack down. And it's just like, it does not want to break out of that $58 to $59 level. I'm like, what do I have to do to get these trading gods to get on my side and help give me a Kit Kat here and give me a break? Like, come on. It really needs to break above that to the long side. It's just been consolidating so much. It's kind of a lagger behind Nvidia and all the other various technology stocks. And I just don't know why. I'm not saying it's getting frustrated, but it's just like, I'm pretty long in this. If it starts breaking below 50, I have to get out and start trimming things. But I don't know. It literally just wants to trade in this box, and I might need to change the color of the box to kind of get it out. I don't know. The things have just been so tightly twound inside of this box with all the moving averages. Because we have the 50 in there, we have the 34, 21, 8, and 5 in there. The parabolic SARs are constantly switching every week. It's just kind of a shit show in this box here, and they need to get their stuff together here if they want to make me money or they want me to lose money, and that needs to happen hopefully soon, and hopefully it's make money, not lose money. But we're again wagered again trying to break above that 58 level for AMD there. So hopefully that was a kind of a long explanation, but I hope that worked. Thoughts on Ford? Okay, Ford, yeah. So Ford, they actually make a product. Get that joke? So again, is the Bronco out or is it not out? I don't follow many car stocks. The only car stock I follow is the technology company of Tesla. So with the 5 and 8 really tightly wound here, we do have a squeeze setting up here on 3 days, which is pretty interesting. The volume oscillator looks like it wants to potentially print higher, which is great as well. But it's not breaking above that 21, which we really want to see. The 21 really needs to kind of break, and things need to start getting a little more peachy, as they say, to get above that $6.11, start closing above it. It's really just hugging that 50-day here, and that is the simple one. That's the red one. That's around the 585 level. Again, earnings on the horizon. I'm not going to say it's going to be terrible, but we'll just have to see what happens. That 5 and 8 really needs to start crossing through the 21 and break above that $8 or $6 to get to that 650, and then potentially get above that 200 exponential moving average again. I'm not sure if just a release of some newer car or a new redo of a car is going to make it go that higher. Because I think a lot of people want to see more stuff again. Ford Bronco, like Kelly D said, and then of course the Mustang SUV. A lot of stuff on that we want to see more about. Andrew, thoughts on Wells Fargo? Oh shoot, I just lost it again. Who was it? I just saw Wells Fargo. Why is this not typing? Silly thinkorswim. So Wells Fargo, as you kind of did on top of the hour, looking at the potential of, I'm a contrarian bettor, and I'm betting for banks to kind of trade sideways or go higher. So I think that banks are kind of hit a short-term low here at this level here, and potentially going to try to test the 21. That's my bet here. For the overall banking sector, I'm not picking one in particular banking stock. It is really trying to break out here, trying to break above the parabolic SAR and try to get above that 21. To the downside, if it wants to continue going downside, it kind of needs to stall out here, and the 5 and 8 need to start continuing back down to Hades. Sorry, my thing just updated again. It just went to all the way to the bottom. Yeah, same feeling, Brian, on AMD. Yeah, they need to get their stuff together. Let's do. We did space there, my friend. Space is great. We really wanted to see it above the 21 to 22 level. GoPro, I have no thoughts on GoPro. I'm sorry. Disney, we can do Disney. We did Disney. We did the Disney again. Kind of broke up. We needed to break above 120 potentially for the break above 120 to get to 125. If that fails, it's going to start coming down to the 115 and then down to the 110 for your support levels there. Netflix to 650, sure. Why not? Anything can happen, right? Peloton, yeah, I see that one a lot coming up. Peloton, the bike subscription thing, so no one can go to the gym. Everyone buys a $3,000 bike with an iPad attached to it that you can't even watch Netflix on. Anywho, that's just my opinion. With the 5 and 8 exponential moving average, just continue pushing this higher and just literally just hitting an all-time high of last Friday, and it's just been a monster in the lack of a better words. It's really getting to the overbought level on the weekly side. Since it's like a newer IPO, the data is not the greatest here on the weekly side, but it looking like it could potentially peak here. Not peak here, but potentially just trade sideways for a little bit. But this can just easily just take a little small break here and then just rip even higher, because it's kind of farly extended from a lot of these different moving averages, so we'll see what happens there. West Coast Gamer, please don't spam. You want Coca-Cola? I have nothing to really add on Coca-Cola. Like, Coca-Cola is going to be just your plain old dividend stock, and not really what we're looking to the growth stocks. You can kind of see here just been trading between like the $50 level and the lower 43s to 42, just kind of trading sideways. If you want it to be on the bullish side, it needs to start breaking above that 21 and break that parabolic SARs to kind of flip around. Hey guy, we did Netflix. Netflix is just literally riding up that 5 and 8 exponential moving average. Oh, the Bronco releases tomorrow. Okay. David J. SPY. So we can do SPY. Kind of did that on the top of the hour. So SPY, it's kind of, we needed to see with the futures market and see a break above that 324 level. Again, from the short-term previous high that we just had. And it's just been, it's really in that choppy box mode, like we just talked about with AMD. Needs to really get above that 324, 325. If that can start breaking out, we do have a squeeze indicating on that. Volume and RSI is trying to curl up, which is great as well to potentially see that breakout. Everything is kind of pointing towards that, but again, we can get cold water in our face. We can get whatever happens in the market. We can really see things turn negative. We've seen that in the past. These things can just turn on a dime and this really print lower. And if S&P 500 starts breaking below the 34 or the parabolic SAR, which is around 305, the 300 exponential moving average needs to start coming in for some support around the 298. All right, looks like the chat movie is really moved again, guys. Thank you so much for coming out. I really do appreciate it. I'm really trying to keep up with all these tickers. There's quite a few just coming in here, and I'm not just picking on who has the coolest name. Pin, what is this? This is Pin National Gaming. Okay. Yeah, so this one, yeah, I don't. It's not been. Let's see here. Oh, didn't click to the top here. Come on now. Actually, this is the previous high. Wow, that was. Why is this not working? Okay, so this one, it's been in a very long squeeze, and it has not been a squeeze that's been lasting almost well over 2 weeks, and it's kind of breaking below the 21. The 5 and 8 have crossed below 21. It looks like earnings on the horizon here towards the end of the month. It's going to be a difficult one due to the fact that it's kind of bouncing off the 50-day, which is, again, a lot of the value investors. So we'll have to look at that. But we'll see on how that plays out. If you want to trade it, got to kind of keep it around the 27 to 28. But you really need to start seeing above 30, potentially test that new around $33 there. So it's going to be a difficult one for me to kind of gauge. It doesn't look too exciting to me. So just be very careful on that one. NIO, bro. What is that? Watermelon cherries bad? Okay, well. NIO. So NIO is based. Oh, why doesn't it type? So NIO has just been complete game busters. Again, I think it's just writing on the overall new trend of the EV market. I'm not sure on all these people that are buying it. It's just been, again, riding up that 5 and 8 exponential moving average, nearly going at a pretty much an 89-degree angle on the way up here to the upper right-hand side, and just been printing very positively. I think this is kind of just a reflection of whatever whatever Tesla does. It's basically going to somewhat mimic that. So everyone who knows anything about EVs is that China and Asia is the largest market within the EV market, and they are just buying up all these cars. Yeah. Alan, whoa, $10. Thanks, man. Nothing wrong with playing it safe. Still a little new with options, so a few shares for me can do. Can we go over a Fibonacci sequence to make sure it's on the chart? Want to make sure we do it right. Thank you. What was the stock again? What was the one you were talking about, Alan? I've gone through so many. Boom. Nice. Thank you. So are you talking about this Fibonacci sequence for any stock? So there's different Fibonacci sequences. So let me go pull up like something that's kind of been in or around things, and not one that's just been literally gone parabolic. Let's do BA. BA, I've seen a lot of people ask about BA. So if this was, so the most basic Fibonacci retracement is just taking the previous high, So you just go on to the little percentage thing, the Fibonacci retracements. So the previous swing high all the way to the swing low. And you can do these on any time frame that you like. I normally just trade on the daily and the weekly side. But sometimes just make sure that this completely lines up with the previous swing high to low. And that being said, you can start seeing these lines coming in through. By default, these lines should all be the same color. I kind of go in and kind of highlight the ones that I like to the different colors I like. I've recently just added like the 6.854 because of Tesla, honestly. So again, looking at these retracements for BA, the overhead resistance is really going to come around the 38.2. And if Brian's in here, I did change that color to like an off-white gray. So we're looking for this to kind of trade sideways here and kind of right up this line here. The squeeze is kind of indicating kind of a little messy chop. But with the Fibonacci retracement, we're seeing here at the 38.2 percentile move some potential overhead resistance. And again, with the 50-day. The thing is key when you start having like a Fibonacci retracement and a moving average with another moving average kind of line up on the same time frames, on the different time frames or different charts, kind of on the same area, same price target. So the 50-day kind of lines up with the 240. So the 200 exponential moving average lines up with the 50% retracement around 240. So that's going to be a pretty key indication between like the 237 to 240 is going to be a lot of overhead resistance for BA on the upside. Yes, we're quite far away from that. We're well over 70-ish bucks from that, but it's just mindful of how that would affect my view on that particular chart. And there's going to be different scenarios coming across with the Fibonacci retracements. Then there's another thing that we can look at that I also use quite a bit. I don't use a lot of the time stuff. I've played around with it, but I haven't had too much success with it. But I do the Fibonacci extensions. So it's the same thing. It's a swing high to low, and then what was the bounce from the low, which is up here. And this usually kind of tracks down potential downward movement. And this one comes in the 23.6 percentile move is lining up with the 50-day here. So there's going to be a lot of support if it breaks our magical line here, a magical enchanted line, which is extra thick the way we like it. If it starts breaking below that imaginary line, it's going to potentially start bouncing off the 50-day as well as the alignment around the 165 level. So hopefully this kind of just is a very quick overview on how you could use it. Again, I like to use it on top of other things that kind of give me a better guidelines of where things could show some lines of support and resistance there. So hopefully that was helpful, Alan, and thank you again for the 10 bucks. Greatly appreciate it. Yeah, NIO will not crash. When you say things like that, it makes me want things to crash. Like things will. I'm not saying crashing doesn't mean it's going to go down to zero. It could just sell off a little bit. It could just sell off. Like NIO can easily sell off. Like this is what we're talking about. Like this is. I don't normally trade Chinese stocks due to the fact that there is sometimes insinuations of manipulations in these stocks and their balance sheets and other things like that. Not saying U.S. companies are not Enron and all the other issues that we've had with lies and bad things and the financial side of things. But this stocks just don't continue going higher. You have to, like, from the charting standpoint, I'm not hoping the company goes to zero. It's just the same thing with like Nikola. So Nikola, like I just did a video on this as well, is like everyone just hates it or loves it. Like it's very crazy diverse group of folks, and it's just I don't know. Like it's just I don't put my emotions into it, honestly. Like I do have my emotions into Tesla because I just think it's the future, and we own a lot of shares in it. I need that to perform. But I think I'm sounding like a hypocrite here. But with like Nikola, I don't have. I'm not going to be like, oh, Tesla won't fail. I kind of want Tesla to go lower so I can buy some more. But I'm being selfish there. Yeah. Enough with that. So with Nikola, like everyone who loves it or hates it, this is a potential catalyst. Like I just not just trade the company. I kind of trade the story and the psychological, human aspects to these stories. Potentially for like Nikola, like there's just so much highlighting it, but they have no product for this truck that they're talking about. They're talking about building in 2022, and there's just renders, and I'm somewhat skeptical because I'm a skeptical person most of the time. This is what makes me a trader and an investor. But it's interesting to see how other people react to it. So that's why I look at it. Jose, yes. Joseph, sorry. The market has a very, very short-term attention span, and they have ADHD like I do. And it's whatever the next shiny thing is, people just move on. Like, what happened to NAT? What happened to all those oil tankers that everyone said that is going to be going to the moon? Exactly, right? We did AMD already, so AMD needs to break above the 58 to 59 level. And if it doesn't, and it's kind of been trading in a box between the 57 to 58 down to like the 49, 50 level, and it's just kind of trading in that range, and we're just kind of somewhat consolidating until we start seeing a breakout or a breakdown. Let's see, Walmart. Yeah, let's do Walmart. That kind of came up quite a bit. So Walmart had a huge move last week and just continue going higher. Which, when you see a large green candle like this on a stock like a Walmart, it's just been like what the WTF is going on there. Really kind of coming in exactly to the 120 or the 618 percentile move, kind of consolidating, kind of doing slightly a head fake, and then continue printing higher. This was most likely a large institutional just buying and somehow getting into Walmart due to the fact of it's just kind of been trading around the 200-day exponential moving average, looking for that new test of around 132, downward support initially at 126 for Walmart. JP, we have not done SRNE, but that has been on my list for some time. You can see it here on my long list. We actually did buy some of this, and it's been performing so well. We bought it here in around that 200-day or the 21 exponential moving average, kind of been holding it, and it had a nice breakout day, sold some on this day, came back down, didn't re-add it to just let the rest run, and looking for potential that $10 price target, to be quite honest. Jay. It's a great looking stock. I'm just a little, I wouldn't say fearful. We have slightly broken above the 50% retracement, so I think I did this last day, yeah. So we broke above the 50% retracement, broke above the 618. Initially, first price target is around $8.67, Jay. If that can't break above that, we can potentially just bounce around and potentially come back down to wherever the 8 EMA is there as well. Andy, BABA. So this is one where I highlighted as well that had a very enormous trade coming out, I believe in September and October, that someone bought like a couple $1 million worth of calls, like deep in the money calls, for this continue going higher. Sorry, I need to take a sip of water. And it's just been performing super well. Again, with the huge transition of e-commerce and just everyone just literally buying everything from their iPad and phone at home. This has just been, again, the Amazon of China. Really, again, we have that the $68.4 dollar move here. So that is actually a fib retracement. So we can kind of show you that here. Where did I ping that one at? Looks like I just kind of did a little bit lower. So that's the 61618 here for the Alibaba. It kind of slightly came up to here, didn't have enough momentum and continue to break out higher. Again, this has literally gone up in a straight line at like an 89-degree angle. Looking for potentially consolidating here, maybe coming down to the 248 potentially, and just kind of bouncing it around here until earnings or some other catalyst, because RSI and volume zone oscillators kind of slowing down a little bit, and we really need to see those start peaking up to kind of get some of those higher prices to continue there. We can do Microsoft. I did see someone, Beyond Meat. So Beyond Meat is actually one of our holdings as well, for a long-term hold, because I think that we think it's coming with the future. So with that being a longer term, I'm not sure what yours time horizon is, newbie. Since mine is long term, I'm looking to add around the 200-day potentially. If it gets around down to 113, 115, I would like to add to it, to the overall positions. It's kind of looking very choppy here. It kind of had that breakdown here, kind of had a V-shaped recovery, and then this flat line, and now kind of failing again. Not sure what people are doing here, but on the longer term side, again, we want to start buying on the 50-day here around the 110 to the 113 level for longer term investing. If you're short term day trading it or swing trading it, be mindful if it starts breaking below the 130 or 131, we potentially can come all the way down to the 113, because there's not really much more of a floor support where we're currently standing. And there's no squeeze, there is earnings on the horizon, but RSI and volume oscillator are not really looking pretty. Liam Breaker, hey, what are you looking at right now personally for earnings plays or stocks that should rotate? So I'm not playing any earnings this week. The only what we're looking at is actually on the XLF. So we sold some puts on Friday, basically around the $22 level. So if you're selling a put, you kind of want it to trade sideways or just continue going higher. We're looking for this to kind of break the $23.50 level, $23.50 level, to potentially test above that 24 to 25 level in the next coming week or so. That is again on the overall backs of the banks performing well or nominal and seeing that trade come through. I'm not going to be trading Netflix. Netflix is a little bit too much of a crazy bet for me, so be careful with that one. I'm seeing a lot for CLF. That's not the Cliff Natural Resources thing, is it? Oh, Cleveland. Is this like what is this? This is an energy company? So looking at this on the daily chart in 1 year, it looks like it just has so much overhead resistance around the 200-day exponential moving average. And really just kind of hitting that wall up here and coming back down. I see that earnings are on the horizon. Looking for potential overhead resistance around the 630 to 625 on the overhead there. It had a nice green up day, it looks, on Friday, with volume kind of breaking above zero, which is great, and RSI starting to kind of print higher here, which is a great sign as well. But this kind of needs to continue and not peter out, because we need to see that 5 and 8 exponential moving average to continue going through the 21 as well. Oh, it's steel? Okay. So yeah, it needs to really need that 5 and 8 exponential moving average to kind of cross through the 21 and potentially get that momentum to break above the 200-day exponential moving average there. XLF, with this thing, we just did that one. Alphabet. This is the one I normally trade with the L anyways. So this one has kind of been, when is this reporting? The 3rd of the month. So this one actually did work with our magical spell of the purple line here, and it really held that support here, which the 8K was around the 50-day. Now breaking into all-time highs was last Friday. This is kind of what we were talking about. It was somewhat of a lagger with the overall tech section, and just not been a great performer of. Again, the tech sector was just behind the Facebooks, kind of behind the Amazons, kind of behind the Microsoft. Finally breaking to an all-time high. Again, with a lot of momentum and volume coming in here, which is great for potential stronger moves. Again, with the 5 and 8 really driving this higher. Looking for, if this starts can really continue higher, looking for potential next price target in the next coming 2+ weeks, even maybe longer, is 1671. That's, again, core has to be pretty good, and the overall market needs to continue going higher as well. So be mindful of that. To the downside, again, the 50-day was really strong support. That really lines up with the 78.6 percentile move as well at 1420 to the downside. If the S hits the F, we'll see what happens. What's SE? Is that C? Yeah, this one is just, again, a lot of the other stocks we've been talking about the past couple weeks has literally just been climbing up the 5 and 8 exponential moving average and continue going higher. No earnings on the horizon, but if this can continue holding the 5 and 8 exponential moving average, this can just continue grinding higher. This will stop without a doubt, but it just looks super strong right now. And overall support, if it does start breaking below the 8, the 21 is going to come in, so around 108 to 109 is the support there. Again, it looking like this, the angle of this is kind of slowing down a little bit. The volume oscillator is kind of like blah, and RSI is pretty highly elevated still, but this volume oscillator needs to start printing higher if we really want to start propelling and really getting substantially higher there. Tim, would you rather order more Tesla or Amazon? That's a hard one. I would like both. But if I had to choose, I couldn't buy any of them right now. I would need to wait for a pullback. Thoughts on Wayfair? Wayfair, we'll see what happens with tomorrow. Looks like there's a lot of negative press about it. Potentially can come down, but it might be a buying opportunity. What do you think about Nvidia? Oh, yeah, Nvidia. Have we done this one? Yeah, I don't remember. Again, looking for that 440 price target potentially. No earnings on the horizon, but this has just been a large market leader again. Really far extended from the 5 and actually the 8 exponential moving average. It's I'm not saying it's concerning, but again, it looks like we could potentially hit that RSI on the weekly side. And we've hit that before, and it's kind of stalled out and took a break. Kind of waited for these moving averages to kind of catch up here and then continue going higher. Andrew, IZEA. And of course it didn't write because my computer's stupid. Okay, so IZEA is I can't trade this. It's a dollar stock, so too heavily momentum and too many driven by just strict volume and smaller investors, so no really much say on that. I'm sorry, my friend. Roku. We can do Roku, yes. So Roku has been that sleeper that really took off. So Roku was in this purgatory box of trying to get above that 130 level, and it has failed multiple times here at the 618. You kind of see it failed here, kind of broke here, but failed. It came back down, came back to the 200 exponential moving average, traded sideways, then got the momentum and got the cojones to try to again to break that 618. Failed again, came back down. You know what? Fourth time's the lucky charm. Let's go. Came back up, broke above that 130 price range, and now grinded higher, broke above the 78.6 percentile move, which is around 150, looking for that price target, and then checking the all-time high at 176 potentially. That being said, downward support is going to be coming at 21, and a lot of support is going to be coming around the 115. Let's see what happens. SQ. Thank you. I am doing very well. My throat's just a little dry here, and I'm a little tired, but that's okay. I love hanging out with you guys and girls. SQ. So SQ again is one of the stocks. Again, just moving with that 5 and 8 exponential moving average. Just continue going higher. Seeing a slight little stall here. Again, that could be represented on the volume oscillator kind of cooling off. Same with the RSI. And the overall volume of this has cooled off as well. You can kind of see here the peak kind of happened of volume on the 6th, and kind of this volume every day after that kind of cut down by 25-30% and started coming down here a little bit. Potentially has earnings on the horizon. Looks like it's the beginning of August for a potential, again, coming down to the 21 for initial support. That's strong support because this has happened before, but initial support around 121 to 120 there, and the upside is basically breaking above that 133 level. Wayfair has an 81% bearish sentiment. Yeah, I don't use Webull, so I don't know on how they gauge the bearish thing. So I'm a contrarian bettor, and I don't know the whole story of what's going on over there with the trafficking or whatever they're saying. I just would need to see a lot more evidence, I guess. But again, I don't know the full situation. I just read a couple headlines, and I read a couple articles regarding that the skew numbers on them were printing out and saying other things. You just randomly put any number in there, you're still getting those inappropriate pictures. But if it is true, just F them, right? Wayfair, yeah, we'll see what happens. Sentiment is fairly huge. If the story, even if it's not even true or whatever, the story can still hit. Just like with anything else, it can get hit, and the emotions are driven. The psychology behind humans is just going to be sell. So potentially first line of support is going to be coming around the 205, then the 193, and then the 184. So what we could do is a Fibonacci retracement extension here. So the previous swing high to low to high again, which is right here. Again, that 50% retracement is going to come around the 206. Again, this is what I'm talking about, Alan, if you're still on. So this is where it lines up. So the 50% retracement lines up with the 21. The 78.6% lines up with the 34 EMA. And the 100 lines up with the 50-day as well. So these are just really important key levels. So these are really going to be my first downsides is the 206. If that doesn't hold, it's going to come to 193 and then to 182 for Wayfair. Josh McDonald, yeah, so be careful with BA on those debit spreads. So I'm doing some selling some puts. They're actually credit spreads around the 180 level, but they're out in August. And then we think we'd added some around the 175 on this little dip move here. With this, again, this kind of holding here with the 5 and 8 could potentially start curling, going higher, and really having this magical gray line really push this particular line and start grinding higher from there. Just be careful. Give yourself some time on those debit spreads, because those debit spreads, I know they could be cheap, and those risk to reward is high if they work out. Yeah, again, like, I'm not a news article person. I usually just trade the stocks, and we'll see what Wayfair does tomorrow. Yeah, if enough people believe in the rumor without a doubt, it definitely move the market without a doubt. Tim, Amazon's pretty much like one Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a very interesting pattern for what I see. Bitcoin is in a very tightly wound spool here. We're looking at the Bitcoin futures trading around 9,320. This looks like it could potentially fire long on the squeeze, but RSI and volume oscillator are kind of flat, so nothing really to report there. On the weekly side, we could see that 5 and 8 support around the 888 level to the downside, but yeah, for me, Bitcoin has been out of the picture for quite some time. Joseph, you're correct. Yeah, a lot of the short-term moves are definitely on emotions and fears. Greg B, hey, thanks for joining, my friend. Can you... We did Workday, or sorry, not Workday, Workhorse already. With Greg B, can you... What can you say about SPLK? What is that? Oh, Splunk. Yeah. Oh my gosh, yes. I think they're going to throw me something else, though, like a curveball here. Yeah, this is performing super well. Initial next price targets around the 222.50 or $223. But that really needs to be printing a lot higher. It has been moving between that 5 and 8 exponential moving average quite a lot. So be very careful out there on this one. The first downward support is going to come in around like 200, and then around the 195 to the downward support. It's going to be very short term though. But it doesn't have like earnings on the horizon, so again, this is going to be a catalyst on a lot of other earnings, so it needs to really continue to grind higher, potentially hit a break here because it looks like it's fairly, on the weekly, it's not too far extended actually. So I think this still could easily run a little bit, but again, had to make an all-time high just the other day, so be very careful with that. We did Nvidia already. It's just been riding up that 5 and 8 exponential moving average. We did Workhorse as well. Again, we're looking for that consolidation. It looks like it wants to consolidate potentially. If it starts breaking below and closing again above the 8 exponential moving average, we could see it come back down to the 21, which I believe was around $15-ish. Ivandale, do you think that we'll see another 10% Amazon, Netflix? Do you think you'll see lots of FOMO? I think probably. I think we'll see some more FOMO, especially in Tesla tomorrow, because Tesla just closed on super highs, literally the amount of volume that we closed on. So I normally don't trade on these charts, but on the 15-minute chart at the last, basically last hour, we went from 1483 up to 1552 in a very short period of time in the last hour, and that usually could still signal potential more overflow into the next couple days to see how the overall market does, but that momentum is still somewhat there. Again, if the overall market's open down lower tomorrow, I don't think Netflix actually gives a rat's. You know what? I think 100% clarity, I own Tesla. It's just crazy outperformance. It's getting kind of a little scary. AMD, we did AMD, FAM, lock, FAM. So AMD is kind of in a trading range between the 58 and 50 level, and we want to see what happens between if it breaks out or breaks lower from that point on. Sorry, okay, there's a lot of people in here now. Sorry, it's really just flying through here. Let's see here. Ivandale, do you think that bank earnings will halt momentum Tuesday? I think banks earnings will actually help the momentum. That's just my opinion. I just think that banks are just going to not perform as bad as people thought, honestly. Andrew RTX would love analysis, buddy. Thank you for this. Is that the new Raytheon? Yeah, Raytheon United Technologies, right? So this one is going to be tied to, again, I don't know exactly, their business is no longer just strict Raytheon military side of stuff and things like that in government contracts. This doesn't look too shabby if you want to hold it longer term. It's really just beaten up right now. The 5 and 8 just kind of continue driving it lower. We have some earnings on the horizon. Volume oscillator is just not great at all. It's just negative. That really is just reflected on just well being below the 5 and 8 here, and being below the 21, below the 50, below the 200. And it really needs to see this kind of consolidate, potentially build a base to kind of get some momentum and drive higher. With earnings on the horizon, it's going to be slightly difficult to do that due to the fact of earnings, from what we always look at, is just a complete coin flip. So if you just flip a coin in the air and you see heads and tails kind of spin back and forth and then fall flat, it could just that's the way I look at earnings. It could be up or down just on the fact of that. So on the weekly side, if you were longer term investing in this, it looks interesting. So downward support on the weekly side is around 54.77. But the 5 and 8 really need to start building a base, trading sideways, and we really need to see that push higher above that 21, so around the $67 price target, and really start seeing that continue going higher. Let's see here. So that hopefully that's my overall analysis on there. It's just kind of been beaten up, kind of somewhat tied to. We can kind of do these little fake little lines here between the trends. I don't like to draw these lines, but as Brian is in here, I'll just go ahead and change this color here. We're going to change it to green, so we want it to hold, and we're going to make it an extra thick line for you, Andrew, as well. We're going to make that a 5, so it's extra. So RTX or Raytheon Tech knows that, hey, don't cross that line. DDOG, is that the dog network? Datadog, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, this has just been like any other, like those internet stuff. But again, really just flying above that 5 and 8 exponential moving average on the daily side, coming down to the 21 literally just once in the last like 2.5 months. Looking a little, I want to say toppy. The weekly side, since it's a newer IPO, the weekly side's hard to gauge because the data is somewhat not relevant yet because it's only been trading for not even a year. This one, again, if it's breaking below the 8, which is around 92.30, potentially support around 86. But you should really see this parabolic SAR support at 82. Not sure exactly where you're in on this position, but we'll see what happens. It looks like there is some earnings on the horizon, but it's quite a far ways out until the first week of August, so you got a couple weeks, like a month or something. But again, this can continue easily grinding higher due to the overall market for this kind of new technologies and Internet of Things just doing very well. What do you think of JP Morgan? So JP Morgan is still it needs to prove itself some more to me. So if you just recently tuned in, we sold some XLF puts, meaning we want it to trade sideways or go higher. I think if JP Morgan wants to continue going higher, I don't know how significant higher it's going to go. I just think that the level around 91 to 92 is pretty strong to the downside. we want to see this break above 96, 97. So these parabolic SAR switch to the bottom, and these 5 and 8s are crossing to the 21. I don't know much about banks, to be quite honestly, Tim. Regional or the First Horizon or the SunTrust ones or the BMT or whatever the other banks are. I just don't know them enough. The banking sector to me is literally looking at a black hole, and I'm like, how do you take money and just turn it into this? It's like it's a magical trick of someone like pulling a bunny out of a hat. Like I just don't quite understand how banks do things like that. All those really weird derivative magical printers they have in the back. I don't know what the hell they do. Oh, DocU, don't bring that one up. That brings back. Oh, I'm just joking. I'm not gonna call you out on it. This one got away from me, my friend. I just got some negative feelings on this because we bought this. I don't know, what was that, like 75, and we sold it around 90, and then of course it's at 217 now, right? But we'll see what happens on that. With DocU, this has just been grinding higher between that 5 and 8 exponential moving average, and this continue going higher, being very much a momentum-driven stock. People discovering this again, of course, with the understanding of like, oh, I don't have to go into a bank or sign for my mortgage anymore or anything else for business. Just send me that document over and I can just click away and just sign my life away. Yeah, downward support is going to be coming in around the 21, which is around 180, which seems crazy, but we've seen that hit a couple times over the last month or so. One you have to really keep an eye on for sure. Thoughts on 821 340 call spread? Is that for Amazon? Josh? Space monthly calls if it breaks resistance. For space, John, I wouldn't. For me, I don't like to do the monthly calls because it's going to be very. It really needs to move within the next month or so. My view on space is longer term stuff, so I have options that are further out on this one, and it needs to really print above that 21 to 22 price target to really break out and build that base to continue going higher. Josh, it was Amazon. 340. You said 340, 821. So I wouldn't want. Okay, that's 40 days out. That's quite a bit. And the plus or minus, holy moly, it's literally $450 plus or minus. That's crazy. So you're in the price zone without a doubt. You're playing it. If you're putting on the bet now, you're playing into earnings. That's kind of a crapshoot for me too. Depending on how much you can get that for, it'd be a little bit difficult for me to do that. Again, I'm more likely to sell puts around potentially the 8, around the 3,000 level, or potentially see what we can do there. 340 it's in range. I think that it could happen, but with the RSI and volume oscillator hitting at all-time highs, I think that this kind of could stall a little bit. If you're just going to go out Monday and just buy them straight up, just be careful with that. I'm not sure if you're going to want to add multiple contracts or things like that on top of it, or if you're trading around a core position of it. Josh, for me, buying straight calls into potentially holding it after earnings is kind of hard for me, honestly. Because again, anything can happen with earnings. I've just been scarred too many times with earnings where I might just honestly fear people too much. It just scares me sometimes with earnings. Tim, yeah, Walmart is a great hold. Tim, take a look at MELI. Is this the Amazon of Brazil? This thing has been pretty much performing just like Amazon, holding that 5 and 8 exponential moving average. Potentially, yeah, this is just really outside of my fib range here. Overall support is going to be coming on 21, which is around $963 for that. That's going to be a difficult one. The volume oscillator and RSI has been pretty high, and I don't know too much about the company. I just know that people compare it to the Amazon of, not the Amazon of the Amazon, like the Amazon of Brazil or Latin America. Long view on Walmart, I think it's poised for massive breakout. I think so too. I think Walmart is trying to readapt itself. It's been in the hate locker for some time, and now it's getting some dusting the dust off and potentially kind of trying to kick higher there. We did Baba. Baba's really just needed to trade between the 5 and 8 exponential moving average. If it starts closing below the 8 exponential moving average, it's going to come to the 21. Apple. Let's look at Apple. We haven't done Apple in a while. Apple being, of course, the market leader, just been performing super well here. With its overall market, with the 5 and 8 again just grinding higher, the 21 kind of coming in. I know I have quite a few fibs coming through here, so the 1272 is coming in around the 358, kind of falling in where the 21 is, and potential target at 400. Can Apple hit 400 by next week? I think so, but just don't know what could happen there. We'll see what happens. Without a doubt, it kind of looks like it's kind of trading sideways. Nothing too crazy to report if you're longer term investing. If you're day trading it, if it starts breaking below the 8, they could potentially come down to the 360 to 365. Let's do Spotify. Spotify, is that SPOT, right? So yeah, this is again, I guess on the news, a lot of like Joe Rogan, and then one of the Kardashians they signed or something. I don't know what the heck they're doing there, but that being said, this has been a pretty large move, without a doubt. Again, having huge gap ups on the news, not even earnings. Again, I don't think even Joe Rogan signed yet, right? I don't even know what the other condition there is as well. But really just holding that 5 and 8 exponential moving average, just grinding higher. It can come back down to like the 261 level, but that 261 level is going to be the first line of support, and then the 21 is going to kind of kick up on that 243. That is going to be to the support side. Looking for, it's going to be very hard to draw fibs because this has just been a dormant stock for such a long time. We can kind of switch this to the weekly side and do a fib here from the previous high to low, and that 1272 kind of came in here for some line of support. Now breaking well above the 1618 here has been really fantastic there as well. It seems crazy, but the 2618 is at 356. Again, the stock has just been really crushing it and doing fantastic. This could come up to this level as well. That's going to be the next initial price target. It seems extreme, I know, but you never know on how much this is priced, and some people just don't understand the overall momentum of how fast the stock can move. And we're looking at a weekly stock. This has literally gone up at like an 89-degree angle and has continued going higher and higher and higher. This is something I would like to own for long term, but I just haven't got the opportunity to. It really just took off without me. A little upset about that. What's up with Beyond Meat, Greg? I don't know. We added some. We haven't added any yet. Potentially looking for. I think we're going to add around the 200 exponential moving average was around 113 to 115, I believe. What we'd like to add for a longer term position. WMG. Warner Music Group. Huh, this is like a newer IPO. There's not that much data on it. Like there's no squeeze. RSI and volume is kind of flat. There's not really much I can go off here, so I might have to break this down to a 4-hour chart. This looks interesting. This looks like it could run higher, honestly. I kind of like it. It looks like I kind of missed it already. The consolidation really happened around the $30 level, and now it's kind of printing higher potentially. Let's see what happens here. So the previous high, oh, come on now. Too low. Click, please. Potentially first price targets around the 50-day or 50% retracement around 31.38 and then 32.18 to the upside. Downside support's going to kind of come into that 200-day and that 21 there, which is around $30. So be mindful of that one. We already did Netflix, water, but we can look at it again before we head off. Actually, we'll do another live stream potentially tomorrow. How's that sound, boys? Girls. Andrew, we did Wayfair. Wayfair, if you're going to be on the negative side, was pretty substantial downside to. We'll look at the fibs here. Netflix again. Andrew has just been gangbusters as well. It's been just flying off the water. It's been really flying off the tails here. Really not much to report here with earnings coming out this week. It can't really trade it into earnings for me. It's really just a potential sitting on my hands and waiting. So we'll see what happens. If it comes crashing down, meaning around the support around the 443 level, don't want to buy it on the first downtick. It could easily grind lower if it's negative. If it's positive, it can kind of just continue trading sideways and go higher. I think with this huge move already in sight here, I think that this is kind of already somewhat poised for. The move has already happened, if I can say that the right word. Yeah, Amazon is very rich for my blood. When do I do the live streams? I do live streams on this. This is the one you're joining right now. Is the traditional live stream Sunday chats, and then I do ones periodically throughout the week, during mostly around like 2:30 to 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then we go for about 90 minutes to an hour. Sometimes I'll do them a little bit other rounds. Definitely going to try to do one around Tuesday with Netflix earnings coming out and that kind of trading stuff without a doubt. A lot of great stocks out there, guys, but I think that things are getting maybe a little too heated, and we'll see what happens. You missed the take on Ronnie Mac on AMD. AMD is still in a trading range, so we're going to go through some really quick stocks real fast. We're going to cover ones that are kind of coming up a lot. AMD has been trading in a range between 58 and 50. It needs to break out if you're bullish to break above 58. If you're bearish, it needs to start breaking below here. That being said, let's go ahead to Wayfair on a lot of scandal stuff going on here. We have some Fibonacci retracements basically coming into first line of supports around 207, next line of supports around 193, next line of supports going to be around 180 to the downside, and after that is basically going to come in for the 130 level. Another one that I've seen a lot is Amazon. So Amazon is the other stock that we're talking about a lot with this large movement already into earnings. Potentially the earnings run has already happened, which we've previously seen a run up a week before earnings, then traded sideways into earnings, kind of trading down and then consolidating and going higher. With Amazon, anything can happen. It's just a beast of a thing. Robert, I don't do live trading. I just more or less just do the educational side of things and ask questions. I don't trade very much. My trades are I just sit back and wait for alerts to go through, and then I just execute. Yeah, things need to slow down for sure. Things have been moving really fast. MGM. Oh yeah, MGM. How's that thing doing? We got into that like around 7 or 8. Yeah, we got that, rode it all the way up to like 15 or 18. Yeah, 18-ish. Missed this whole move up to the 200-day. Now it's kind of consolidating and trading downwards. That 5 and 8 is still driving it down. We really need to see the 5 and 8 chart trading sideways for a potential push above the 21. If you want to start seeing things turn positive. We do have earnings on the horizon as well on the 23rd. It looks like not completely confirmed yet. Really need to see that trading sideways and that those ticks start breaking above that 8, which is around the 1650 level there. Joseph, you're welcome, my friend. You're welcome. What time on Sundays do you start the live streams? 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. I like to go for at least 90 minutes. Sometimes you have 6,000 shares at MGM. When did you buy it? At the low? Why are you buying AM? Why do you not like growth stocks? I'm not trying to judge you. I'm just trying to get your perspective on it. What's Casper's ticker symbol? At 12. Okay, you're still up on it. Like, if this continues to start just trading, so what we can look at here, so what I like to look to the potential downside is the Fibonacci extensions. So the previous swing high to low, then to the high again. We've kind of already broken past the 23.6 percentile move. Potentially, it can get down to the 38.2. Again, this is just potentially. These are not going to happen. But just need to know where those guidelines are. Josh, we could do Microsoft. Yes, I forgot to do that. It looks like it wants like a trade sideways, but they're still slightly curling down. If some bad news comes out, $12 can be easily in the cards without a doubt, no pun intended. It really needs to break above that 23.6 percentile move, which is around 17, because that's where the 21 is, that's where the parabolic SAR are, that's where the 50-day is. It really has a lot of overhead resistance and really needs to break out above that. Tim, any options on property or casual insurance companies? I don't know anything about those. I'm sorry. Oh, $10. Thank you, my friend. Hopefully that MGM worked out for you. Yeah, we'll see what. I'll put some alerts out and I'll kind of keep track of it myself. I have. Let's see what happens here. Kind of really need to see that above there. So I hope the best of luck for you, my friend. Casper is CRSP. CRSP. This is the mattress thing, right? No, it's Casper Therapeutics. Okay. Oh, CRISPR. Okay, sorry. I was thinking of Casper. Okay. I was looking for a new pillow and Casper came up. So this is the DNA sequencing thing. I think this is the DNA sequencing thing. Again, the trend is still somewhat intact. It hasn't closed below the 8 exponential moving average. But it's looking a little toppy heavy here because the momentum has switched. RSI has hit the high here as well, and the volume zone also is coming down. Again, I don't know how the catalyst things work for this, but looking for potential downside if it starts breaking below the 8, the 21 was around $77 there. And the upside again is trying to break above that previous high. This could just be some profit taking and just seeing it trading sideways because we do have earnings on the horizon. Microsoft, I forgot to do that for. Let's do. Oh yeah, this thing that's a sexy beast. So Microsoft is performing super well here. Looking for initial price targets around $223 for earnings potentially. I don't think earnings was literally plus or minus $7. So you can look by that by looking up when was the stock earnings was like next week, right? So the 22nd. So the 22nd is going to be this earnings strike price, so $15. So that's easily within the deck of cards if things are going well. That we could potentially see some ongoing movement in there. Again, Microsoft has been performing super well. It's literally entwined in so many different things and has been doing gangbusters. Alan S., another $2. Wow, thank you, my friend. Quick question: what is the downside to selling puts? So yeah, let me pull you up something real fast. So we'll do a this. So we'll look at Netflix. So Netflix is basically coming out for earnings. So let's go back to like a Netflix chart. So Netflix, of course, it's just been cranking higher here, and it's a huge gap up just the last couple of days. So if you want to play earnings and let's say you want to buy like the 21, let's bring back up Tastyworks. So you want to buy earnings. Normally don't like to do this, to be quite honest, Alan, because I don't like to do very short-term trades like this. So if I wanted to do a little further out, like August 21s, and I can go into the put side here on the Tastyworks, and the orange line here is basically what the market move is. They kind of really show that very well here. And then the blue little dotted line is this first standard deviation. So with those kind of puts, especially with a large move like that, I normally buy in this range here between the end of what their market makers are expecting and then around the standard deviation. Since these are $5 wide, and again, the market's closed, so these spreads are kind of somewhat just like blah. These spreads are pretty big. So what we do is you would sell one of the puts and then buy the next one up. So you're basically, this is where a lot of people get confused and people get kind of crap about it. You're basically risking $413 of capital that you can't use because you see in your buying power that's affected, but your max profit is 87. You're not going to always get your max profit. You're usually looking for like a 60 to 75 to 80% of that, but your probability of profit is 78%. So that's what you're really paying for. You're really paying for the probability of profit and the P50, which are two different various metrics or mathematical formulas that calculate the likelihood of this option making you money. So for example, if I would have if I was bullish on this as well, and I bought like far out the money calls, so I bought this one, I bought the spread here, you can see the difference. Yes, I'm maxing and paying for basically $200 to risk to make $297, but what is my likelihood of making that $297 is about 22% likelihood of this moving up, because this again is outside of the market maker moves, and it is that theta is going to be really killing that options premium in there as well. So that's kind of the way I like to play things. I really have to have a lot of conviction, aka I have some conviction in AMD to go higher, so I have that. I have some calls in like space. I have some calls in some other various sections as well. So hopefully that was helpful for you there, Alan. Again, thank you for the ongoing support, my friend. On that note, I think we're just going to call it a day. We're definitely going to do most likely a live stream. I'm not sure about tomorrow, but potentially on Tuesday for the Netflix earnings, without a doubt. So we're going to probably bring some chips and guacamole and just have a grand old time on potentially trading from 3 into the close, and then seeing how Netflix earnings comes out, and we'll just have some fun and hang out from there, guys. Again, guys, girls, thank you so much for the ongoing support. I really do appreciate it. I hope you learned something from this, and if you have, please don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you have any questions, you can go ahead and just join the Discord server, completely free, no obligations, no strings attached. I'm not going to try to sell you anything. I'm not that kind of guy. I just want to help people understand the markets and kind of show the way I use my perspective on the market. So I hope that everything is just a grand old time for everyone this week. Everyone just stay safe. Again, thank you so much for watching. You guys, catch you guys on the flip side. Peace.